Today we're going to look at equations of lines, and we're going to use the equation to help us find the slope and the y-intercept. When we're talking about an equation for a line, there's a special format called the slope-intercept format, and that is represented by the equation y equals mx plus b. In this equation, the coefficient of x is m. This coefficient represents the slope of the line. So when a line is in this format, y equals mx plus b, or in the slope-intercept format, the coefficient of x is going to be the slope. When the line is in this format, the term plus b represents where the line is going to intercept the y-axis. Okay? So this is a special format of a line, and it's going to help us find these two things, find the slope and where the line hits the y-axis. So let's start with looking for the slope of the line. If I am looking at our first equation, y equals negative x minus 2, we're going to examine the first term. And we're going to look specifically at the coefficient of the first term. Since there is no number here, just the minus sign or the negative sign, the coefficient of this term is negative 1. So therefore, the slope of this line is negative 1. This slope tells us a lot. It tells us that our line is falling, which means that going from left to right, our line is going to be going down. Okay, it's going to have a negative slope. It's going to look like it's falling. Now let's look at our other equation, y equals 1/2 x plus 2. We're going to examine the x term. Again, we're going to look at the coefficient. The coefficient is the slope of the line, and in this case, the coefficient is a positive 1/2. It's a positive number, so it tells us that our line rises. So going from left to right, our line is going to be going up. It's going to have a positive slope, and it's going to be going up or rising. It's also going to have a specific relationship where the y value increases by 1 and the x value increases by 2. So if I'm starting at a point, so we'll put a spot on the line or on the grid, my y value is going to go up 1 and my x value will go over 2. Y value goes up 1, x value goes over 2. Up 1, over 2. And that's the pattern of our line. So now we're going to look at the y-intercept. Where does our line hit the y-axis? To do that, we are going to set the x variable to 0. And we're going to do that for both equations. When x is 0, what is the value of y? In our first equation, we set x to 0. So we plug in that value and we solve for y. 0 minus 2 is just going to be negative 2. So our coordinate is 0, negative 2. So on our coordinate grid, we're going to find the ordered pair 0, negative 2. This slope falls. It's a negative slope, so it goes downward. Okay, and because it's a whole number, we can actually write it as a fraction over 1. So we are going to go down 1 to the right 1, down 1 to the right 1, down 1 to the right 1. And this is going to be our line. On the other equation, When x equals 0, we're going to plug it in. 1/2 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 2 is going to equal y. So y is just 2. So we're going to plot that point on our grid. Starting at the origin, I'm not moving left or right, but I'm going up 2. And I'm going to put a dot there. Following our slope, we're going to go up 1, to the right 2, and put a dot. Up 1, to the right 2, and put a dot. We can confirm this by plugging in the numbers into our equation. So if x is 2, what is the y value? So we plug it in. 1/2 times 2 plus 2. What does that equal? Well, 1/2 times 2 is just 1. 1 plus 2 is indeed 3. And if I look at my ordered pair, x is 2, y is 3. So that is a point on my line. And I will draw my line connecting the dots. So that is graphing two lines that are in slope-intercept form. We found out what our slopes were. We found out what our y-intercepts were, and then we graphed our line.